Welcome to this session. A lot has happened since the last time we've talked, and I wanted to fill you in. For one thing, I've become much more conscious of arthritis in my body. I won't say it's exactly new, but it's new for me to focus on it. It's been particularly apparent in my right hand, where I notice enlargements in the joints of these fingers off to the side, pain here and pain in the thumb. And I've also begun suspecting that it's appearing in other places in my body. Well, I am 73 years old. At the same time, I've had good success investigating other quote-unquote intractable problems and, in fact, solving them for myself. And with a record like that, maybe there's something I can do here. It's at least worth considering. My first approach is always go find a book. Well, here's one that's been useful. This is from Dr. David Brownstein. Yes, I know, I'm not supposed to advertise specific things, but this book has really helped me, and I think it deserves it. Dr. David Brownstein, MD. The book is Overcoming Arthritis. In this book, he says in a number of places that there's a particular kind of bacterium called mycoplasma, been known for over 100 years as a source of problems with, well, livestock for one thing, and humans also. The issues show up in a number of ways. First, it's clear that mycoplasma can be isolated, taken straight out of the joints of arthritic people. Second, they have definitely observed it in the animals where it appears. There's a famous case with a absolutely beloved gorilla from the National Zoo who became arthritic and was treated with antibiotics and apparently recovered and lived more than 20 more years in a healthy fashion. So it's clear that antibiotics do help here, but only some of them. It turns out that mycoplasma is a form of bacteria that produces cells, but the cell has no wall. And that leads to strange things because, for example, penicillin does all of its work on the wall of the cell. Now, there are antibiotics that are at least helpful in this context. But at the same time, there are problems for the biologist. The mycoplasma appears to somehow bind very tightly into whatever organism it's embedded, and so it is very difficult to culture it in the lab. You can produce results with it in an ordinary animal, but how do you study it in a petri dish? I'm not a biologist, so this is not my territory. In a strange way, I think they don't know much about these things. There is quite a bit about mycoplasma on the internet. When I began to look on my computer for information, I found, for example, that one form of it produces pneumonia. Doctors call this atypical pneumonia because it is not caused by the usual pneumonia virus. There are other forms that target the sexual organs, some the nerves. It's everywhere. And there have been a few places that have actually had very good results using antibiotic for therapeutic purposes. Now, I'm not doing that, and I'm not working with a doctor who does do that. If you've watched my sessions, you know that I have my own ways. And the first question is, well, can my own ways be useful here? It's a good question. There's another question. I work intuitively. I have huge respect for the power of intuition to give good answers. But I've been working at this for maybe 10 plus years, and I'm also aware that the parasites, bacteria, viruses and all, do their best to make it impossible for intuition to work the best they can. And even that becomes part of the, how shall we say, the calculation I work with. In any case, the first thing for me to do is to start asking questions. I propose that you should try the same thing yourself on whatever you're working on. In my case, the first question is, well, I find that when I have a typical bacterium or virus, if the body can refer me to a particular frequency for it, that's very helpful. And often what I find is I'll get a frequency for the virus and another frequency for a toxin that it's binding to, and together the toxin can be released and go where it wants to go, and that leaves the virus exposed, and the virus is very vulnerable because we're using the frequency of the virus simultaneously. So the body can just swoop in and whoosh, it's really very helpful. It's good. So my first question is, can I do something with these mycoplasma with a frequency? I was startled to receive a flat answer, no. Okay, head scratching time. Next question. Can I make progress with the mycoplasma with frequencies, 2 or more? And I got back a kind of tentative yes. Oh, okay. Will 2 frequencies be helpful? And then an emphatic no. Would 3 frequencies be helpful? And I got yes, kind of. But it was a good strong yes after a while. Yes, I could do that. Well, if it's not strong, should I go to 4 frequencies? And the body says, stop there, you've got enough problems. And the body's right, I've only got 3 generators. So I tried doing that and found, yes, I was accomplishing something. I went on the internet and began to do some studying about these things and came up with puzzling conclusions. The way infectious organisms, bacteria, virus, one-celled animals, use frequencies is very interesting. It's pretty typical for them, I believe. No one's told me this. To use these internal frequencies exactly that way. They become a kind of pipeline for all of the internal communication that the organism, that the virus, say we're talking about a virus, that the virus uses internally, or the bacteria uses internally. So that if I bombard it with this, its internal defenses fall down, everything falls apart, and the body can move in and take care of it. I won't say that the frequencies kill it, because if I just hit it with the frequencies for a short time, and the body is not able to finish the job, when I come back later, typically the body will tell me the frequency is no good anymore, it's changed. Then I need to go to a new frequency. So apparently in most cases the organism, the infectious organism, can switch to another frequency as long as I'm not in the middle of actually using that frequency. I guess that using that frequency just paralyzes it somehow. Okay. What about a mycoplasma? And the body comes back and says, no, they can't change frequencies. Period. Oh, really? And the only thing I can think of is maybe because the pneumonia mycoplasma has to communicate with the genital mycoplasma, or they're constantly talking with different species of things, and if they change one frequency, everything breaks down, so they are locked in. And that's interesting. It sounds like this method of communicating in a lot of different ways produces something equivalent to a large parasite that can do major damage in the body. But with one drawback for them. Once that frequency is known, they can't change it like an ordinary virus can. Which means I'll do the best I can with my generators and come back tomorrow if I need to. One issue that has shown up in working with these things is that the Herxheimer effect. Have I discussed it in these talks? It's very simple. When you are able to eliminate an infectious organism, then you find yourself suddenly facing a huge raft of all of the smaller organisms that used to infect it. And you have to kill them. It almost sounds as though doing something good turns into something worse, and briefly it does. Medicine has known about this for many years. I have to tell you, this business of going after mycoplasma has been producing Herxheimer effect in my body like it's real bad. Comes to the point that I've just got to turn off the generators and let the body pick up the pieces for a while. Go on out on the tennis court and hit tennis balls, get the lymphatic system running, and get some good food and get some sleep. The results do seem to be working. It's not like they are unknown, but I do believe that true methods for eliminating them. Yes, I know that some antibiotics have been useful. I have a feeling that we're on to something big here with these methods. They're completely new, but I see great promise in them. Good luck to you. Thanks for listening.